Welcome to the Game Professors podcast, where the students have taken over and we profess our love and hate for all things video games. Today, we're going to talk about some PlayStation game announcements, some AI hardware scarcity that's continuing to infect our industry as more of it becomes affected, a look at 2 disappointing releases from Sony and Square Enix, along with 1 early 2026 Game of the Year candidate, a follow-up on Logitech's mouse, and an update to Steam reviews. We then talk about some PS4 news, and Sony making sure they get their money despite hardware prices, and Facebook raising the dead, and then finally, Heru and I discuss our experience at being superhero dispatchers as we got around to actually playing one of the best games of 2025. First, PlayStation State of Play happened, I think, right after we recorded our previous podcast. So quite a few announcements were made. And let me just put this text in here because I hit this from Heru. But Death Stranding 2 on the Beach PC port was actually announced, confirmed for March 19th, 2026. Well, Heru, are you excited for that?
I did know about this, and yeah, I am quite excited.
Oh, did you know about it? I didn't know if you had seen it yet, because you didn't say anything to me. So I was like, I don't know, maybe he hasn't seen it.
Yep, I'm quite excited about it. Their last PC port was quite solid. I didn't really experience any issues playing the original Death Stranding.
Do you know if it was done by the same company?
I do not, but I could definitely take a look at some point. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this game, despite the fact I'm not really a horror fan at all.
Yeah, except for Death Stranding. You like the Death Stranding games.
Literally the exception, yeah.
Well, so this one's being handled by Nixus Software. Whether or not it was done by the last one, Heru, I'm sure we'll find out. It's featuring DLSS 4.5, which is NVIDIA's latest edition of DLSS, ultra-wide support, and uncapped frame rates, along with 4K resolution. It will have a cross-platform update with new modes and challenges that launch simultaneously for all platforms the game is available on. And pre-purchasing the Steam edition grants unique silver, bokeh, and battle skeletons. And PS5 users who link a PlayStation account to the PC version get exclusive suit designs inspired by the PlayStation logo.
The original Death Stranding was ported and published by 505 Games, so it's different, unfortunately.
So we'll see if this company can live up to that port.
Hopefully.
Because why go back to a company that did a good job?
Pretty much.
Oh, man. Well, on top of other games announced, the God of War franchise is getting a trilogy remake, which is confirmed to be in early development. And let's see, also a shadow drop of Sons of Sparta that we will talk about more later. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. Now, if you don't know, they've already done kind of a remake of a few of the Metal Gear games already. This one for August 27, 2026 will be for the PS5, Xbox, and PC and Nintendo Switch. And it will include one of my favorite Metal Gear Solid games that I played the crap out of, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, which for the first time will be off of the PlayStation 3, and some other PlayStation Metal Gear games as well, Peace Walker, Ghost Babel, and I think there's a few more if I'm not mistaken. But you'll have quite a few Metal Gear Solid games to go through. I might pick this up just to go through Guns of the Patriots because I absolutely loved it. I will be interested to see if they do any sort of censoring because I've mentioned it before, but you can beat some of the boss battles by just taking sexy photos of them. So, spoiler alert if you don't know that already. Current climate, I just don't know what'll happen. I hope they keep it the same. It was stupid and fun. Good time. So I look forward to that.
I'm always hesitant.
What's that?
I'm always hesitant with re-releases of games, largely because WoW Classic really ruined everything for me.
Yeah.
While it's clearly the same as it was. As a generation and as a gaming community, the World of Warcraft player base has just gotten a lot better at the video game. And just having more internet tools as well. It just, it not quite as fun as things used to be.
I mean, so I've talked about how Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time, and the remake was very good. But one of the things the remake did, and it was a remake, it was not a remaster, was stripped the flair and the campiness of the original. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of uncouth jokes and stuff between like Leon and the antagonists, and they stripped a lot of that. So that was a bummer. Thankfully, at the end of the day, they made a game that was fantastic and played like the original. So you could move past it because you still got the good Resident Evil experience. But yeah, I mean, it lost a lot of whatever its original flair was. So there's always that trepidation that between the consumers being better at what they do and what they can do to modify the game and keeping the spirit of the game from what its original was, there's always pitfalls that they can step into on those remakes.
Yeah, for sure.
And Metal Gear games, aka any sort of Kojima game, has plenty of opportunity for any of that to happen. So, but apparently, what was it? The Delta, the one that just released, though, was pretty dang good. Other than having some technical issues. So maybe this one will stay faithful. Who knows? Apparently, for pre-order, you get a cardboard camouflage uniform because, you need incentives to pre-order a game. The thing that makes me laugh here is what I'm seeing is this is specific for MGS4. So you get a pre-order item that's only good for one game in the collection, which is silly to me, but it is what it is. Other than that, there's also a Castlevania Belmont's Curse, which is set in the year 1499 in medieval Paris, roughly 23 years after Dracula's Curse. Features a female Belmont, successor to Trevor and Sypha? How do you want to pronounce that? Sypha for anyone out there? Feel free to give me the phonetic pronunciation in the comments if you know it.
Could be Sypha, could be Sypha, who knows?
All right. It's a collaborative project between Konami, Evil Empire, and Motion Twin of Dead Cells fame, which is a very good game. So this could be, quite a sleeper hit right here if it actually adheres to the old school Castlevania games with a modern twist. I would love to see what they do with it. Targeted for late 2026, which would be around the franchise's 40th anniversary. With some trapeze-style whip mechanics, and could be good. I love good announcements. Ghosts of Yotei Legends is a DLC that's going to launch March 10th, 2026, and it is adding 4-player co-op with distinct classes. Now, I find this interesting, because this is not a game that had any sort of co-op. No one asked for any sort of co-op, and they are delivering it later. I don't have a problem with this. Because for how much farther this is coming past the actual game release, indicates to me that if they had been working on it, they had not put a lot of resources into it yet. So I'm fine if you're going to release a full-fledged game that works and then add things later to improve and let people experience it later. And this gives people a good opportunity to go back through your game with a new lens, a new style, and experience it with friends. Or maybe a friend hasn't played it yet. You can go through it with them. Either of the above. So, I think this is great. I think more games should do something like this. I'm okay with it. So, alrighty. Pragmata, have you seen this game?
No.
Are you sure? Because it's the sci-fi dude in a kind of Iron Man-ish type suit with the little anime girl on his back.
Yep, haven't seen it.
Okay, well, you should go check this out.
I should.
But there is a demo available with the full release coming April 24th. I'm actually excited. It just looks super unique. So I hope this is good. Looks fun. It's supposed to have like a tactile combat system with some hacking mechanics and some lunar exploration. It could be cool. So I look forward to this, but you can actually go play a demo for this right now. And people who have played the demo was like, yeah, it's short, looks fun. So let's see how the whole game turns out.
Well, you buried the lead.
Yeah.
This is a Capcom game.
Yes.
This is a Capcom brand new IP.
Yes, it is.
You buried the lead hard.
I did. That I did. Yeah, well, I mean, this gives them an opportunity to show that they can grow and evolve as a company.
We're calling this an anime girl?
Look, I don't know how you wanted me to describe it when you have no visual reference.
It just looks like a little blonde girl.
I don't know. It's Capcom. Am I far off from the realm of the aesthetic?
I mean, they're definitely on the back of a mech, that's for sure.
Yeah. So.
Either way, it looks interesting. I'll have to watch the trailer later.
Yeah, well, I don't think the demo's out for PC, but the game is launching on PC. Is it?
It is available, yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I thought it was only for PlayStation.
Nope. It's available on Steam. Staring at it.
You can download the demo right now?
Yes.
I'm still not going to do it.
That's fair. I won't either.
I mean, because it doesn't matter how good the demo is until your game comes out and it's actually playable. Speaking of which, there is we talked about an update for Steam reviews that I find very interesting that we'll get into later. Other than that, Control Resonant, i.e. Control 2, the sequel to Control, which was a very good game when it came out, was also shown off with protagonist Jesse Fadden's brother, Dylan Fadden, as the lead character. The setting will be a warped reality bending version of Manhattan that has gone nuclear with supernatural corruption. Features the Aberrant, a shape-shifting melee weapon that transforms into a hammer, scythe, blades, fists, etc., with a release window of 2026, which tells me it won't be out until 2027.
I can't hear the words "God Nuclear" without thinking about this stupid meme.
I am atomic.
Yes, exactly.
We'll just picture it as a ghost doing it. Yeah, it'll never be the same. Also, an untitled John Wick AAA game. It was also announced. Saber Interactive of Space Marine 2 fame, with Keanu Reeves and director Chad Stahelski. That's how I'm gonna go with Stahelski being involved. So, i.e. Keanu Reeves, main actor and director for the John Wick series, being involved, with Keanu Reeves obviously providing his voice and likeness, which one of the things that always drove me nuts about Bond games was not having an actual Bond actor in the game. There's always some generic, British Scotsman type dude, whichever one they chose for that time around. So having the actual actor is a great way to start that off on the right foot. It'll be an original story set 6 years before the impossible task mentioned in the films. So when he hasn't become the full boogeyman yet, but he is at the height of, his enforcer assassination days, let's call it. So, and it looks like they're going to try to incorporate the gun fu system and having that more hand-to-hand combat choreographed kind of feel in the game, which, cool. I mean, if it's fun to play and looks awesome, sometimes that's all I need. So we'll see how it goes.
You know what's funny? I've never played a John Wick game.
There's not a lot of John Wick games.
Well,
there's like the one.
John Wick, Bond. I've never played any of them.
Like none of the spy games.
Yeah. Like even Metal Gear Solid, I think I played like 15 minutes of one.
What about
some
Sam
point in my childhood?
Like none of the Sam Fisher games? Man, dude, there is such a glaring blankness in your gaming repertoire now that I will never not be able to unknow.
Who knows? Maybe I'll pick up one that's more recent.
I mean,
See
to
if
be
I like
fair,
it.
I've never really played an MMO or a MOBA, so like I've got my own giant blank slate there. But although I have tried them, have you even tried any of them?
Um, not really. Like not in like recent years. Not since like gaming started becoming like a thing that I actually understood rather than just did.
I mean, fair. I mean, the early Bond games that I played were obviously the N64 GoldenEye fame, like one of the big ones back in the day, because that was the
Yeah.
thing to play.
I watched
And
someone
then
play the N64 version.
What's that?
I watched someone play the N64 version.
Like on Twitch, like doing a
No,
retro
like
playthrough, or at the
physically.
time?
Like physically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
I never cared for it.
Yeah. I mean, I've played a lot of the Splinter Cell games. Loved a lot of the Splinter Cell games. I haven't played all, but I've played a few of the Metal Gear Solid games. I've played a thing that I got into. And then the one like ISO view John Wick game, I got that for free. So I definitely played that, but that was fun. But aside for that, yeah, I mean, well, now's your time to maybe try some stuff out as this John Wick game comes out. Maybe it's something you can get your hands on and play.
Hopefully. And like the biggest thing for me is that I've never really been a fan of shooters on a controller. Right? Like
That's fair.
the last time I really played one of those was Halo Reach, and like, I got pretty frustrated on the controller. But that's coming from a PC gamer, right?
Did you ever play MGS5 on PC?
No.
You want to know what my favorite thing? It's not even the shooter gameplay. You know what my favorite thing of MGS5 on the PC was? That Konami/Kojima built into the game the folder for the helicopter that would play music, and it was a game mechanic where the helicopter, and they take this from real world inspiration, where the helicopter had loudspeakers. So if it was trying to be intimidating while coming and picking you up in a hot zone, it would blast music. And so there's a default song for the game, but they built into the game, this isn't a mod, they just allowed you to access the music folder, drop in your own MP3s, and they would pick one of those. So you could have had your own music to pick you up, whether or not it was something, epic, like Disturbed or something, like really get you pumping, or something dumb like Aqua or whatever you want.
Darude Sandstorm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, any of the above you could do, and you could just do it super easily, and it was so much fun. But yeah, I mean, MGS5 is a great game, minus that it not being technically finished because of the whole Konami drama and them screwing over Kojima. But that's a whole separate story that maybe we get into at some point, but not today.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. I think that's all we have for Lecture Lowdown, if we want to get into some business and econ. All right. As always, we're a bit in over our head when it comes to business and econ, but we're still going to get into it anyways. AI, unfortunately, continues to infect all of the industry, causing problems for everybody. Specifically, this time around, the Steam Deck and the Valve hardware kind of being out of stock, as Valve has officially confirmed that the Steam Deck OLED 512 gig and 1 terabyte models are facing intermittent out of stock status in several regions, including the United States and Asia, with current listings showing the device completely sold out, along with discontinuing the 250 gig LCD version, as it is no longer in production at all, and current inventory is currently depleted and will be permanently removed from the lineup, effectively raising the entry price for the Steam Deck.
It's disappointing. One of the biggest complaints that I've had in the past, at least, with Valve is that like they seem to never keep up with their hardware. right? Like they never continue to support it. They never iterate on it or anything like that.
Here's the thing. The Valve Index they've had for a long time, and it looks like they're just iterating on that. And they did make sure it was compatible and usable, and has been.
True,
I'm not sure that this is their fault on this one.
That's fair.
Especially because it comes from the higher cost of components, right? Which is affecting everybody. So because of the cost of, RAM and NAND flash memory, I'm sure the margins weren't huge on these handhelds anyways.
Probably not.
And so issues getting whatever products and pieces they need to actually flesh it out and sell it while they're trying to do the Steam machine and Steam frame is going to be a huge problem.
Yeah, that's definitely.
But this is why also the Steam machine and Steam frame were delayed too, so we'll see what happens there. This comes on the heels of Phison CEO, not related, I just thought this was interesting to throw in here, that warned that some system vendors might actually exit product lines or face bankruptcy due to rising costs and inabilities to secure parts. So I just think it was kind of related to this specific fact here, that you're already starting to see that happen, even with more entrenched companies in the market, even though they're not necessarily big players in what they're trying to do.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's kind of that thing that you run into where the companies that have the ability to just eat costs tend to just survive, right? Which means the little guy dies out and the monopolies stick around.
Or they figure out a way to get their money elsewhere. Sony, we'll talk about that later.
Yep.
You're already seeing secondhand markets go crazy for the Steam Decks, with potentially costs hitting $1,000 for some of these.
Not surprised.
I mean, I knew that this was going to be a problem when I could turn around and sell my DDR4 RAM for $120, whatever I sold it for, which is ridiculous because I'm pretty sure that was the cost of what I paid for it when it was new, like at least 80% the cost for those two kits.
Oh yeah, probably.
Which is insane. But here we are. And to continue on that threshold of ridiculous things being affected, Western Digital has announced that it's pretty much sold out of its entire hard drive production capacity for the year of 2026 as well.
Hard drive? Or SSD?
Hard drive.
What?
Yes.
Who's buying that?
Well, they can't buy SSDs. That's the problem.
That's fair.
CEO Irving Tan revealed that during Q2 2026 earnings call that a massive AI-driven deal has consumed the available supply. Nearly 89% of Western Digital's revenue is now coming from cloud businesses. Yeah, not shocked there. They've also signed long-term deals as well for 2027 and 2028 with some of its top enterprise customers. You're literally seeing this happen because there is no flash memory available. SSD prices have gone quadrupled. I literally sent Heru a screenshot the other day of an 8 terabyte drive that I had bought like a week or two earlier that had basically increased by 40%.
Yeah. It's insane.
And so, yeah, this is where we are. I'm sad. I'm sad that even hard drives are increasing in cost. Oh, man.
I'm sad, but I'm not surprised at the exact same time. This is what happens when we have so few players in a market. No one can keep up with a random boom in demand.
Yep. Yeah, when there's not enough to go around and not enough retooling available either.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is coming on the supposed announcement from prominent hardware leakers that there isn't going to be a Super Series refresh for the 50 series until potentially 2027. So, this is just the world we live in. Tariffs? Nah. Inflation? Nah. AI-driven demand causing memory price apocalypses? Yes.
Panic.
That's what's happening. All right. Well, that's all we got for this segment. Let's move on to lab. Alrighty. We got a big one for today in lab work. 3 different games, analyzing some recent releases. The Spartan Shadow Drop. So, i.e., Sons of Sparta, and its controversy that followed it, which, as of the PlayStation State of Play, they dropped it that same day on February 12th, which I will admit, I love when companies do that. It is so much fun. Hey, do you want a game? Here's a game. Go play the game. Okay, awesome. No expectations, no lead up. I can go check it out for myself. And by and large, I think it would have been okay if it wasn't for one big faux pas later down the line, but we'll get into that. So the developer is Megacat Studios in collaboration with Santa Monica Studios, i.e. Megacat basically made it with guidance, especially story and assets from Santa Monica Studios. It is a 2D Metrovania style action platformer. It is only for the PlayStation 5 digital store, and it is a $30 standard price with a $40 deluxe edition. It is a prequel set during the childhood of Kratos and his brother Deimos as they train in the Spartan Agog. Gosh, I'm butchering words today. And the story, as I said, was written by Santa Monica Studios, which is responsible for the current God of War and the sequel Ragnarok. So, some of the original backlash comes from the original God of War creator, David Jaffe, who has kind of had his own ups and downs, heavily criticizing the game. He called the game generic, total crap, and asked who the fuck greenlit this. So, I don't know if you can tell his feelings on the matter, but I was not a fan.
I mean, it looks like his primary focus was that being the vulnerable young Kratos and the heavy dialogue disrespects the license, and I'm just like, how? Like, how does that disrespect the license? We all knew from the very first God of War that Kratos was not a god to begin with. Like, that's literally the whole first game, is him taking down the God of War, if I remember correctly. It's been
it was.
Fucking years.
Yeah, it's basically what it was.
So, like, I don't know, man. Like, he had to have a spot before that. He didn't just pop out of his mother as an adult and immediately try and go take on the God of War. Like, come on. He had a place, he had a life beforehand.
Wait, and are you telling me that young people are potentially vulnerable?
Yeah, weird. Even Spartans.
Well, I mean, some critics point to the Shadow Drop being a product of trying to hide the low-budget product, which, I mean, I don't know if the game's $30. I don't know if it's worth $30. I've seen it. I haven't played it myself. A lot of the reviews are mixed, sitting at like low 70s, which is in kind of that passable range, but not where you want to be. So, functional, not necessarily memorable. So, I think the biggest problem that the game had with it is that it was initially listed as 1 to 2 players, which to me would indicate co-op. Like, 2D platformer with co-op. Great, you could play it. However, it's not really a co-op, it's a challenge mode, and that mode is locked behind the campaign. So to get to that challenge mode, you have to play 15 to 20 hours of the game before you can even get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Sick.
yeah. I mean, I don't know about false advertising, because if it's there, then you
Yeah.
can play it. I think the only problem here is, why the fuck did you feel it necessary to lock it behind finishing the campaign?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you entirely.
Just don't. Just let it be an option available to you. And if you're worried about spoilers for any sort of the story in a challenge mode, you know what you can do? You can put up a window that says, hey, if you play this before beating the campaign, you might spoil the campaign for yourself. And then done. You've taken care of it. It's now on the player's choice.
It's now their fault.
Yeah. So, obviously a lot of people refunded the game because they wanted to play it with friends. So, understandably so.
I feel like there has been a significant increase in demand for two-player co-op games. Like, specifically two-player co-op games. I feel like there has been a significant increase in demand for those.
Yeah, because I feel like it's hard to find time with a large group of people, and it's a lot easier to find time with another person who has a similar interest to you.
Right, or even, like, gaming couples.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
That's all. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I don't know. It's interesting, because I've played almost every, like, two-player co-op game that's out there at this point.
You've played quite a few. Well, you could play this one. You just have to buy it, beat it first, and then you can play the co-op together.
I'd
So
also have to
your
buy a
15 hours
PlayStation. I'm good.
I mean, it's the small details. Come on. Alrighty. Some interesting bits. The original voice of Kratos narrates the game as an adult Kratos, kind of telling the story. That's cool. That's fun. Mega Cat actually used rotoscoping on the models from the original game to get the hand-drawn pixel art look. I also love that. That's very cool. And the game ends with, spoilers, Kratos carving the flute that Calliope is seen playing in God of War Chains of Olympus. So there's at least a lot of homages and fun things in there to make people excited. I think it, again, would have been fine if it wasn't for the co-op thing. So
yeah. I think if they just made it like to where that the two-player aspect just didn't exist, it would have succeeded on its own merits rather than
not been
this weird. Yeah, exactly.
So, or just make it available, It's not like they couldn't fix this with an update either. Like, I don't feel like this would be so hard-coded and ingrained into the system that you couldn't just set whatever flag or trigger it is to make this mode available instantly.
But yeah, easily.
So, but it is what it is. All right, speaking of potential disappointments, the biggest disappointment of this last week, Square Enix is Killer Inn, that's in as in Hotel Inn, with the current player count after launching this week of 289 people. And they reached an all-time peak on February 15th of 817 people.
Hey, they're still at 255. It's something.
Yeah. It's not played well. It's not received well. It's got a mixed rating on Steam with a 49.27% positive reviews, which is not great. Not great at all.
It's under 49% now.
Is that? I have no doubt.
Yeah.
So, I hadn't heard of this game until I saw this news about this game not being good. I went and watched a trailer for this game. I don't know what this game is trying to be, and we'll get into it on what it actually is. But I think one of the biggest problems for this game is it tries to do too much. It tries to be too unique, and it tries to check too many boxes. When I was watching the trailer, I had no idea what was happening, or what was going on, or why things were being done the way they were, or how things were operating in that manner. So, and before I give you the breakdown, I want to talk about this because you're going to hear basically my interpretations as you would being a new person watching the trailer. So, there's shooter mechanics in it. Okay. They talk about how there's lambs and wolves, sheep and wolves. So, obviously there's someone doing the hunting and someone being hunted. But then they show people fighting each other. So, like, can the sheep fight back? Do the wolves fight each other? I have no idea. It's not made clear. And then you can come across a body and find clues. Are these clues dynamically generated to, like, lead towards a specific player? And then at one point it points out that you don't vote, but you have to take people out, which then brings me back to, okay, so maybe the sheep can fight back, but then what's the point of the clues? And are these clues the same? Like, will there be a point where you just understand these clues? Like, how is it generating these clues after someone dies? Then it shows characters having abilities. Like, one character turning invisible, another character had, like, an armor shield ability, and all this kind of stuff that's happening. And it's set in, like, a mansion, which gives me, like, literal board game Clue vibes, like the He Who Done It type of thing. So, like, I'm totally lost as what this game is trying to be, because I could honestly wrap my head around it if it wasn't for the fact that it has shooter mechanics. I don't understand why that exists in this type of game at all.
Yeah. So looking at it, I could see what it's trying to do. It doesn't explain it very well. So this is intended to be just another one of those Among Us games. Right? That's exactly what it's intended to be. But they tried to expand on it and make it even bigger because it's 24 fucking players. That's a lot of fucking players to begin with. And then instead of the whole, like, voting aspect, it was supposed to be more like Lockdown Protocol, where Lockdown Protocol, you can actively just kill each other, right? So that it skips the whole voting social aspect and instead focuses on the in-betweens, right? The individual conversations social aspect. And who knows if the sheep know who the wolves are? My guess is probably not, because there's supposed to be less wolves than there are sheep. But the wolves probably know who they are, right? Which is similar to Lockdown Protocol, where the dissidents know who the other dissident is, but the regular crew doesn't know who the dissidents are, and the goal is to eliminate the other side.
The thing about Lockdown Protocol, though, is that you could kill each other, but don't all the weapons have, like, limited ammo and that type of stuff?
Yeah, minus the knives.
Well, sure, but, you know, you just run away from a knife if you can get far enough away. And I get people can catch up to you, but the point is it's not massive amounts of violence that can immediately take place because there's a limited resource or a limited use type of thing.
Yeah.
Characters have special powers. You didn't even mention the special powers.
I know.
Or how characters are finding clues on dead bodies. Like, literally, there's a mechanic where they pick up a clue and, like, investigate it.
Yep.
Like,
oh, I know.
Am I doing that in the middle of a battlefield where people are shooting guns and going invisible and, like,
possibly?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's trying to do too much.
Yes, I agree with that aspect. I agree it is trying to do too much. I'm just telling you what they tried to do.
No, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, after I got the breakdown and watched the whole thing, I was able to kind of surmise what was happening, but it's just, I think the point here is that for a lot of people, if you were to go watch that trailer, I don't think most people would understand what was going on fully. They might be able to guess at some things, but there's so much happening. And it's got like, it looks like the third person-ish Fortnite kind of feel to the shooting mechanics as well.
Yeah.
So
It is
like,
very third person shooter aspect, yeah.
yeah, I just, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's trying to do too much. It's trying to be too appealing. It's trying to check all those boxes. If you wanted to do this, type of game mode, I think getting rid of the shooter aspect would have gone a lot further to being able to make it happen. Like, if you wanted more of the supernatural character powers ability, then have that be the thing, and that's how you can eliminate people. Or don't have the or don't have the superpower abilities and just have the shooting mechanics. Like, you've tried to do too much. It's just my opinion here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I thoroughly agree. But, I mean, that's also why they started in early access.
Yeah, sure, because Square Enix should be abusing the early access system.
I mean, to be clear, it is Square Enix and Tactic Studios.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, sure.
Which, I don't know who the heck that is, but they haven't made anything interesting that I've seen. But they do look to be the primary developer, whereas Square Enix is probably like a side developer and primary publisher.
Yep. I mean, it's also slightly pay to win, because I will point out that there is a character that is available in the supporter edition, which would be the extra money edition, which has their own special abilities, because they all have special abilities. So I don't know if this character's good or all, but I'm already like apprehensive about something like that.
Has 2-player characters.
I mean, fair. So that's super fun. Love serial killer, a world-renowned supermodel who secretly moonlights as a London slasher.
I mean, the other thing too is that there has been a pretty decent increase in interest in the concept of death games in Japan in particular. Like, there's been tons of animes that have come out about it. There's been quite a few games that have come out about it. Many light novels and many mangas. So this kind of plays a little bit like a death game as well. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah. Like, initially that's what I thought it was like pure death game.
I mean, if they had done their own version of Squid Games, that would be infinitely more interesting than what this is, I think.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, there's so much more that you could do here than just throwing this together. But hey, aren't you glad that your early access game has a premium battle pass and cosmetic items? Because, an early access game, early access being not released in a fully state, and releasing this so that we can get feedback and test it and improve it and get to a fully released state, but we're also going to spend resources on a premium battle pass. So, again, I go back to abusing the early access system.
Yeah, 100%. I was not defending that by any stretch.
No, I wasn't saying you were. I just, this type of thing is just my giant pet peeve, because I've come around to the early access system when it's used appropriately, but it still drives me nuts when companies do this, and it clearly should not be something in early access. Or if it is, why are you spending resources on a premium battle pass and cosmetic items? Give me a good playable game.
Yeah, finish your fucking game.
Yep.
And yeah, there was
if you stay in early access for more than 4 years, I'm gonna lose it.
Project Zomboid.
I'm just forever early access. It'll never release. I'm telling you.
Well, it definitely won't. No, they should have released a long time ago and then gone with like Project Zomboid 2 or something.
Sure. Yeah. Any of the above, or just a 2.0 update. Anything that they can do. Alrighty, and let's get into the actual good game that was released this week. A game that I assume Heru will actually play at some point, which is called...
Sure, I may play it tonight.
which is called Mewgenics, the tactical cat breeding game. Now, specifically, it's just Mewgenics. I added the tactical cat breeding game because that's what it is, which officially launched a couple days before we recorded last week. I had just initially missed it, even though I did see a tweet about it, which I will talk about. On February 10th, the game recouped its entire development budget in 3 hours, which is great for the developer. As of today, it has surpassed 1 million copies sold in its first week. It reached a peak player count of 115,428 current players on Steam during its debut weekend, which actually surpassed Hades 2. And its critical reception is a 92%, very positive on Steam, with a lot of people already talking about it being a contender for one of the best games of the year. Now, have you gone and looked at these videos, Heru?
I am actively watching them.
Okay, so while you were watching that, a little history. It was first announced in 2012, so a long development cycle, under Team Meat, which is Edmund McMillan and Tommy Refines, which it was originally a vastly different combat game with Pokemon-style combat, and the project was canceled and restarted multiple times after the two parted ways. It was shelved until 2018, eventually Edmund teamed up with Tyre Gale of The End Is Nigh in 2020 to build the current version. For those of you who don't know, Edward McMillan is one of the creators of The Binding of Isaac, and he actually talks about how that game was practice or a basic roguelite intended to pave the way for his, quote, true magnum opus, Mewgenics, i.e. this game. He also mentioned that instead of choosing the easy path of just making a Binding of Isaac 2, which would have sold a lot of copies and made him a lot of money, he really wanted to make this game because this is what he was passionate about, and it was something new and complex, which I can honestly respect. Didn't take the cash grab, did what he was passionate about instead.
He should still take the cash grab.
Well, now he's now gotten the money from this. He can go do Bindings of Isaac 2. Or he could start his own studio and have them do it.
True. My only complaint about this is that it's turn-based.
Yes. So it is a tactical roguelite. So combat takes place on a 10x10 grid, and it is turn-based. So it is not the free-flowing gameplay mechanics of Binding of Isaac. So that is different. Although it does feature 12 distinct classes, things like Fighter, Mage, Hunter, Tank, Necromancer, and others with 75 unique abilities, with many, many combinations. And of course, the heart of the game, genetics and breeding. As with any game I would expect these days, the heart of the game centers around players breeding cats to pass down traits or mutations and the associated stats. It is described as cat D&D meets a life sim.
Oh, man.
So the main campaign is estimated at 200 hours. There are about 900 items, 200 plus enemies, and bosses that change or decompose over multiple encounters, which I do love. Evolving bosses that come back around because it makes the world feel more lifelike, as you maybe have to tackle another enemy you already thought defeated, as long as it's done in an interesting and non-grindy way. Playing into the eugenics of the name that it's based off of, sometimes units are not valuable, and so the goal might be to dispatch them or use them as cannon fodder. So it is encouraged to get rid of the non the non useful characters that are in your employ.
I want to read this mature content description real quick.
Okay.
Just a brief smidge of it. Not going to read the whole thing. Cats are often seen humping each other, though this can be disabled in the settings.
So there is a safe for work toggle as the game features
slightly
gooey and unsettling birth animations for the kittens.
Jesus.
So, yes, it does exist.
Holy crap. I mean, you know what? I'm all for it. Do what you're passionate about, brother.
So I actually saw this before it hit the big time because the algorithm apparently nailed me down on X as it put across my feed a tweet from Edward McMillan, because apparently the game launched, and within 30 minutes of launching, I think it was only like 23 people had bought the game. And so he put out a tweet that was like, please, I've spent so much money on this game. I need it to be successful. Please buy my game. And so I was like, oh, that's funny. And I went and looked at his game and his profile. I was like, Mewgenics, oh, that seems interesting. Really unique type of thing. I wonder if it'll be any good. And then obviously it blew up after that, which just made me laugh because I bet he was considering been spending money on it and working on it since 2012. Yeah, I'm sure he spent a lot of money on it.
Yeah, that's a lot. 14 years?
Yep.
Holy.
But hey,
I mean, he shelved
money,
it
so.
at some point, right?
Sure. Yeah, it was worked on and off, but there were multiple versions canceled, so.
Yep.
But good for him. It's an interesting. I like when games do interesting and new things. This is a unique way. I mean, it takes obviously mechanics that have been done before. The eugenics thing is not a new thing to gaming mechanics, but it's been done in a unique way with a unique focus on cats, I guess.
You can call it a unique flair if you must.
Yeah, unique flair with that Binding of Isaac art style.
Yep.
And grotesque type of things that can happen. There's a lot of cameos, as you would expect with a game that is focused on around cats. There's a lot of meows that are needed. So there's a lot of meows that were recorded from various people and memes and all that kind of stuff. So there's like Red Letter Media people, other influencers like Ricky Berwick. And then, of course, the very old school, one of the original internet memes, the Chocolate Rain guy, i.e. Tay Zonde, actually does a meow with that real deep voice of his. So there's lots of fun cameos. I wonder if over time, how many there were and how many people are going to be like, is that person?
Yeah, I'm sitting here wondering, I'm like, how much would it cost to get some of the more popular voice actors, right?
Mm-hmm.
To just one line. Not even one line. One word.
Oh,
meow.
Yeah. 100%. I bet a lot would do it for free. I mean,
almost guaranteed.
If this guy reached out to let's just the streamer of the month, right? Burnt Peanut. If this guy reached out to Burnt Peanut, do you think he would turn down doing a single meow for the game?
No. Not at all.
So, yeah. I mean, it's like there's so much fun. There's so much fun to be had here. I like that he's done that, but I don't know. I don't know if it's clear to you while watching the gameplay videos, but you can actually cause environmental disasters for yourself. So if you try growing grass in a blizzard on one of the maps, and it's obviously freezing, the grass will actually turn into icy spikes instead.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the little tiny blades of grass freeze, and now they're tiny little caltrops.
I mean, fair, I guess.
But I just like that this indicates that there's actual environmental things that can happen due to your input, which I do find interesting.
But yeah, that's definitely interesting. That's that's the type of gameplay that you would really want, I think,
In something like, oh, for
from
sure.
something like this. Yeah.
There's also, I don't know if you've seen it on the trailers you've seen, but there's also kind of a home base type of thing too, where you're supposed to keep your cats comfortable and come back to. So there's a little bit in between kind of troop management that you have to do as well, along with your breeding.
Interesting.
So, yeah, there you go. If you wanted a game about breeding cats with mutations to take on armies of Binding of Isaac type enemies, well, now you can do so at your own enjoyment. So have fun with that. It's out. It's available now. I think there's still a 10% discount right now, so it's like $26.
There is, yeah.
But yeah, so ignore the other two games that we've already talked about. Go play this instead.
Pretty much.
All right. Oh, one thing I did want to mention before we continue, because I just made fun of Killer Inn for its DLC. Macmillan noted that the base game is so large that they haven't been able to work on DLC, and now that they can work on DLC, it likely won't arrive for a year. So, as I have constantly said, give me a working game, and then do the rest of your stuff when you can. Don't put the cart before the horse.
Yep. Yeah,
And
exactly.
look at it. He's put out a successful game that's made him lots of money, and it's a working game in good condition, and now he can work on DLC. Great. That's how it should go.
Correct.
None of this first year roadmap BS. I don't want any of that. Just give me a working game.
Pretty much.
Alrighty. Oh, sorry, it's my last piece there. All right, let's move on to shop class. All right, as we head down to shop class, I have to know that Heru's question about the Logitech G Pro X2 Superstrike mouse last week has actually turned out to be true. And if anyone doesn't remember, well, you can go listen to that episode, that course last week, because I'm not going to. No, I'm just kidding. So he talked about how he was concerned with the technology making it super easy to do very, very quick rapid shots or inputs per se, that if it would get flagged as cheating. And he was right. There were multiple examples in specifically Apex Legends. I've seen rumblings that it happened in Counter-Strike, but nothing official, but it did officially happen in Apex Legends, where Respawn Entertainment had to officially unban high-profile accounts using the new Logitech mouse, as the studio admitted the ban wave was a false positive, and it occurred shortly after the mouse's launch.
Weird.
If there wasn't a better advertising blurb than making games think you're cheating, come buy our mouse that's legit. I don't know what is. So, for anyone who didn't catch last week's course, basically the mouse lets you set the actuation point, so you can have a really short input and then reset. So you can basically get inputs going way faster than you normally ever would be able to do, which is why it gets flagged as a mechanical or macro type input, as it's pretty consistent for being outside of human possibility. Well, not anymore. So that's where we are. So if you want an actual hardware advantage rather than some of the more advertising advantages that people like to spend their money on computer hardware, this one will apparently give you the actual advantage. It won't improve your aim, but in terms of being able to fire quicker, you might be able to do that. But yeah, so lots of interesting things to do with this mouse. If you get flagged for cheating, then you might have to reach out and tell somebody that you own this mouse, and hopefully they'll unban you. But that's what's going on here with the Logitech G Pro X Superstrike, or X2 Superstrike. My bad. Sorry, the name
seems like
is a mouthful.
Seems like some risky business, in my opinion.
I mean, anything for that advantage, though, man. Come on, you got to get the frags in, dog.
But like, so yes, anything for the extra advantage for sure, right? That's within the realms of TOS, of course. Like, I mean, come on, we've all had the meme of he just has a better gamer chair, but like, at the same time, tell me, if you were still playing CS:GO at a high level, would you risk that?
I mean, if I'm doing LAN, it doesn't matter, right? Because
Sure.
they can see the mouse. And I can check all of that. So,
but I'm talking like, mid-level, like mid to high level. Like you're climbing. You're trying to start a career.
I mean, if you're trying to start the career, then I would say yes. Because if you have nothing to lose,
banned.
Yep, if you have nothing to lose, this gives you potentially the advantage. Now, here's the thing. This type of mouse isn't going to give you a crazy advantage on the overall scope of the game. Because the thing it's going to give you advantages on are like pistols that don't have a forced firing speed, right? So as fast as you can click is as fast as you'll shoot. That's where this would help. But most of the time, pistols are weak in Counter-Strike, and it might help you on eco rounds, but it's not going to help you with once you have an AK or anything like that. Because the faster you input, it's just going to go into full auto anyways, so you're not going to get the accurate shots. So it doesn't really matter in Counter-Strike. I can see why in Apex Legends it would matter, though, because there's a lot more...
there's quite a few.
Spanning input weapons that could take advantage of this type of mouse, for sure.
There's a weapon in Arc Raiders. I can't remember the name of it. Stitcher. It doesn't have a minimum or a maximum fire rate.
Yeah, didn't they fix that though? Because I thought there were people exploiting it at one point, and then they fixed it. Yeah.
It would be interesting if they did.
Was it the Stitcher? Because I thought that was full auto. I think it was the Kettle, wasn't it? The one with the...
It is the Kettle. You're right. Yeah. The Stitcher is full auto. The Kettle is not.
Yeah.
It's the gas powered one. The one that has
it
looks like a freaking
Super Soaker.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that did become a problem. You are correct. Like, it 100% did become a problem. People were spamming the crap out of it, and this mouse would have contributed to it if it had been out at that point. But I think they actually fixed that right before this mouse came out, weirdly enough. But yeah, so if you had things like that, this mouse would be super helpful for any types of things. Jump Space, the game we like to play with the pistol, this would be great for that. I mean, that's co-op. It's not really PvP, but like just being able to spam that pistol super fast without macros would be fun.
Especially the fact that you can get the thing that just lets you heal people when you shoot them.
Just full out of the pistol all the time and heal people.
Holy.
So
and it's infinite ammo, so.
Yeah, why not? But yeah, so would I risk it if I was starting out? Sure, it might give me an advantage. Would I risk it in the middle? No, because I'm not big enough to like plead my case that I'm not, doing it. So it could set me back. And at the top end, you're big enough to be like, I own and use this mouse. This is why you flagged me, unban me. Okay. It's like the middle ground where you're big enough for it to be a problem if you get banned, but not big enough to fix it.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly that like band that I'm talking about.
Yeah. If you're low end, it doesn't matter because you're not big enough.
Right. Yeah.
You can do it. But yeah, I think what you're getting at here is that it could get people banned. I think the opposite is going to happen though, which is they'll obviously have allotments for this mouse to be able to work in the future because it's legit hardware. They're not doing macros or anything like that. And what's going to happen is it's going to make it harder to detect actual cheaters. Because now you have to allot for this margin which was outside of human realm previously, but now is. So more cheaters will bypass anti-cheat systems because of it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, what's the difference, right, between a macro that shoots the same speed as, something that you could actually click fast enough on this mouse?
The
right?
only difference, and you can set random delays, but the only difference
Yeah.
would be consistency. But, I mean, anyone who's good enough could get it consistently enough. But yeah, that was, to your point, previously you could only get that type of quick repetition from a macro.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Who knows? It's going to be interesting. I mean, I've always enjoyed Logitech. I hate the look of this mouse. I hope they put this type of technology into their other styles of mice. Because I would totally buy this, especially just like the reduced latency aspect in and of itself is amazing.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I don't think I'm willing to drop a $180 dime on it quite yet while I have a working mouse. But if my mouse ever breaks down, I am not against picking it up, giving it a go.
Yeah, same.
Alrighty. And the last piece here in shop class, and I put this in here just because it's dealing with hardware more than anything else, is Steam is actually giving people the ability to list their specs when they leave a Steam review. I love this. And this is available now, by the way. It was available about a week ago, and it should be rolled out to everybody, if not this week, by the end of the week. And so it's basically allowing people to attach their specific PC hardware specification, which Steam picks up, right? So you're not entering this in manually. It's if you give permission for the Steam hardware survey, they're using those specs that you've given Steam permission to pull. So you can't manipulate the system unless it was installed in your computer when the specs were taken.
Right.
And then when you are posting a review, it pops up a checkbox that says attach PC specs to this review, and then it appears in your review submission panel. So I think this is fantastic. For any time people are like, I'm having a let's just go back to our biggest example when we started recording this podcast, where Randy Pitchford with Borderlands is like, you just don't have a good enough system. This would have been great for people to be like, I have a 5070. I'm having terrible performance. Like, I should not be having
what more do you want?
Yeah.
Like, do you really want me to spend an extra $2,000 just to play your fucking game?
Yep. And the opposite could be true. I have a 1080 and I'm playing Borderlands. I'm having terrible performance. Well,
that's your problem,
might
buddy.
be your problem. So for both ends, it's good, seeing whether or not people are having issues because they have old hardware or whether or not the game has issues with new hardware. I think it's good on both ends. It takes the guesswork out of going, well, what are you trying to run the game on? So
yeah, it would be interesting to see, like, if you try and purchase a game, on the computer that you're going to be playing it on, and it doesn't meet the minimum specs, it pops up a warning. That would be pretty cool.
There is a lot of speculation that this is going to allow Steam/Valve to expand their data collection. And one of the things that they're speculating is that it will allow them to generate, like they do with Steam Deck optimized, a Steam Machine optimized kind of moniker. So whether or not a game plays well on a similarly spec'd machine as the Steam Machine too. Which I could easily see. And to your point, if you could just expand it out in general, I have to be very careful with this because companies always take things way too far. But if this data collection goes into assisting me, the consumer, in making an educated purchase of a game, then I am not opposed to that. Now, if you use my data for other things, I would just hope that it's not personalized and none of my personal data gets out. Just the general, we have a user that uses this specs is fine. But I could see that being useful, yes. I would not mind that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fine line, of course.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right? Like, if somebody wants to use my specs as an example of something that ran well, then fine. Just don't attach my name.
Yeah.
Or my IP address.
Exactly. Exactly. No personalized information.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if Steam could pop up a little box that was like, hey, we see you're purchasing a game and you're using a 4K monitor, you may only get 50 frames or something as our best guess. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Because then I can either acknowledge it or move forward. And it would probably reduce refund rates too. If users could get that informed decision up front.
That's true.
Yeah. Because even if it's not necessarily something you're happy with, if up front you understand that you're going to get lower frames, you're probably psychologically less likely to return it because up front you knew that it was going to happen, as opposed to being shocked when you try to play the game.
For sure. But I mean, FPS by itself is not everything, right? I would say that frame timing is almost way more important.
Yeah.
Because, like, I can deal with barely 60 FPS, but I can't deal with barely 60 FPS and then it drops to 20 every now and again.
You're not wrong. Oh, man. You're not wrong, but that's where we are. I think it's pretty decent. I don't have anything more to say in this section, so I think we'll move on to civics and sociology. All right. Civics and sociology. Now, I have removed the discussion about Facebook bringing people back from the dead because we're kind of running a little long here. And Sony squeezing money out of their users. So we'll get into that next week. But for this week, just a kind of a little quick thing that PS4 support and service transition is happening. And there is an official developer cutoff being implemented for people trying to make PS4 games or PS4 versions of games. So starting in spring 2026, Sony is officially retiring legacy services for any new PS4 game submissions. Games submitted for certification after this window can no longer integrate with specific legacy PSN features, including activity feeds, web APIs, word filters, shared media web APIs, and specific user profile storage APIs. The goal is to move forward with a more unified, scalable foundation, i.e. streamlining everything under the PS5 architecture and future hardware needs. I mean, yeah, the console launched in 2013, so it was a matter of time. It's been a long time. It's been supported for a long time. I don't think anyone should expect any more than this.
Yeah, I mean, the PS4 was very successful. I still have one that's literally sitting in my garage.
Yeah. I think the thing that should happen is if there's not going to be any more PS4 only titles in like the PlayStation Plus lineups, that they should reduce the price of PlayStation Plus for people only using PS4s. I don't know how you make that happen, but you're getting less. So I think you should be charged less.
Yeah, I mean, they would probably have to track whether or not your profile has ever signed into a PS5.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair.
Agreed.
I think the biggest and saddest thing here is that even though there is not a total shutdown of PlayStation servers, that up, previously and now with this, that a lot of games have been sunsetted or heavily affected or just obsoleted in general. You're looking at things like Little Big Planet, where the servers for that specific game are online, so millions of user-generated levels are gone. Gran Turismo, which was an always online game design, large portions of that game are inaccessible. Babylon's Fall is completely non-functional. Physical or digital doesn't matter. And other multiplayer games are struggling because of specific services that have been shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a bummer that, because I feel like PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 didn't really get into the always online community-driven stuff. They were more of a gap between the digital multiplayer era that we are in now and the previous single-player experience era. And so PlayStation 4 was really that first generation where these games had a lot of online services tied to it. So you're seeing a lot of these games become heavily restricted or just completely non-functional as things go offline, which is sad.
Yeah, I mean it's Fable 3 all over again.
Yep. Yeah.
Like literally. And I think more and more as it continues to happen, people are going to get more and more frustrated with it, and eventually legislation is going to come out. It's going to force something one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. I'm a big proponent to, making sure that whatever legal documentation you need that says you still own the copyright, and even though you're giving tacit approval to modify the game into a workable state, you're not giving any approval for monetization or redistribution, and then putting out the software and code so that people can make the game work themselves. I think that's probably the best case solution.
Yeah. I mean, for a lot of those games that are like single player, always online, like Fable 3 was, I mean, I think just a final update to the game would be acceptable. That just, it makes it to where it disconnects that code aspect. It disconnects those checks and stops it from trying to check into the server that no longer exists.
Yeah.
But I'm personally really sick of the whole, like, you don't own anything aspect.
Yeah, you'll own nothing and you'll like it. You'll hear that
exactly.
Today, you heard it last week, you'll hear it in the future. That's the way the world's going, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I really am. I'm really sick of it. Because, like, if I buy a game, that's my game. Right? I own that copy of it. Plain and simple.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. Even though technically from a legal standpoint, all we are doing nowadays is leasing things, I heavily disagree with that view on life anyways. But that's a whole different discussion. In general, I am with you that we should be able, at the end of the day, when you stop providing life services, have at least 80% of a working product. If a few things in the game become inaccessible, fine. Like, I get it. Like, especially multiplayer games, right? Like, I'm not expecting you to put AI into a multiplayer-focused game. I'm just not expecting it. But that's not what a lot of these games are.
A really good example would be, like, Diablo 4. That is an always-on game. Like, always online game. And it does have an offline mode. But if you don't check in online at some point, then you will run into issues. At some point, if those servers get shut down, does the game just break?
Potentially. We'll see how they treat it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, alrighty. It's sad. It's the way of the world. This won't be the last time we talk about it. Once, like, PlayStation 4 stuff, and the ridiculously named Xboxes, Xbox One or whatever, gets fully shut down, we'll, I'm sure, talk about this again. All right, let's move on to the last segment. All right. Independent study. Heru and I finally played Dispatch, which we talked about as being one of the most kind of voted on for Game of the Year 2025, where it was in almost every top 10 list, I believe, when we were discussing it. And so we finally got around to playing it. I had actually owned it and technically started before Heru, but Heru just went through and crushed it immediately.
How do we go?
So I finally finished it, so we could talk about it together. It's from Ad Hoc Studios, which was founded in 2018, and it was founded by heavyweights of the storytelling type game era, which, if anyone doesn't know, I'm kind of referring to the Telltale Games era. That's going to be things like The Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, Tales of the Borderlands. And if you haven't played any of those, I'm so sad. The Walking Dead Telltale series was epic. It was fantastic. I'm not sure if it's even listed anymore, but if you can go play it, it still holds up. It's a story type game. It's not really based off of gameplay. So Michael Choing, Nick Herman, Dennis Leonard, and Pierre Charette are all C-level type people that started the studio, and they left Telltale before Telltale's collapse in 2018 because they wanted to escape corporate constraints and crunch culture, which is good for them. Their goal was to create a smaller, quote, ad hoc team, if you can tell where the name came from, as they wanted to take more narrative risks and explore the intersection between film and gaming, moving away from point-and-click tropes and more cinematic TV-style pacing. They were originally hired to co-develop A Wolf Among Us 2 with the revived Telltale. However, they pulled out of the project in 2023 due to creative differences, choosing to focus on their original IP, Dispatch. They are based in Los Angeles with a team of about 30 people. Wow, how many games and studios are going to be in the top 10 games of the year with under 50 people in their studio? It's almost like you can make really good games without throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at a 200-person studio.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
I mean, didn't we just last week talk about Ashes of Creation in the 200-person studio that put a bunch of money in a pile and lit it on flames?
Yeah, literally.
Lit it on fire, put in whatever. Yeah. All right. So for anyone who doesn't know, and eventually, not quite yet, eventually we will be getting into spoilers when we talk about it. So just an FYI. It's also why I put it here at the end of the course. It is a superhero workplace comedy with a bit of drama. The game follows the life of Robert Robertson III, who is a former hero titled Mecha Man. After his suit encounters some catastrophic damage and is mostly destroyed, he takes a job as a dispatcher for the Superhero Dispatch Network, or SDN. So literally, like a police dispatcher, calls come in, he sends superheroes to go deal with whatever problem that is. And we'll get into it, but the gameplay element comes from the fact that you're trying to send the right superhero to a dispatch call so that they can complete it. And it's an alternative Los Angeles where superheroes and normal people coexist. Society divided kind of among those lines, although instead of being, like gods or people who are heavily looked up to, they're more treated like people that get a specific type of job because they have those powers. Or go down the wrong path and become villains like we've seen. Robert is picked to head the quote-unquote Z team, aka the Phoenix program, which is a group of somewhat reformed supervillains attempting to find redemption or potentially just a legal job. And there's a lot of talent in this game. So you've got Aaron Paul of Breaking Bad fame as Robert, Laura Bailey as Invisigal, and Jeffrey Wright as Chase/Trackstar, amongst others. So let's get into it. What's your first comments, Hero?
My first comment is I knew there was a reason that I liked Invisigal, and now I know why. I've always enjoyed Laura Bailey's voice acting. She is quite impressive in general. If you don't know Laura Bailey, I mean, she's Critical Role.
Oh, is that who she? Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's I want to say if I could be completely wrong, and I'll probably look it up in a second, but I believe that she is Matt's wife.
Let's see here. It doesn't spouse Travis Willingham.
Yeah, it's Travis's. Yep.
Also voice acting roles in Soul Eater and Injustice. And Fruits Basket.
Yep, I did know about Fruits Basket. Yep.
All right, continue.
Oh yeah, Matt's wife is Marisha. Yeah, I remember now. Either way,
I mean,
yeah, she's always been great.
Saying that, but since you brought it up, this is in collaboration with Critical Role, so they were heavily involved in the story creation as well.
Which was very interesting, to say the least. I was surprised, given Critical Role's name plastered on it at the very beginning, that it was so short. The reason that I say that is because Critical Role is known for extremely long campaigns.
Sure. I think that considering that they left their project in 2023 to work on Dispatch, and essentially they had 2 years, assuming that they maybe laid some groundwork for this beforehand, that it was probably more along the lines of making the product that you can with what you have.
That's fair.
Which, good for them. You know, you made what you could, even though it was somewhat on the shorter side. It was a good product. No one's complaining. You priced it right for what you gave us and what you had the ability to create. That's all we ask. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
And so, yes, you're right. It is a little bit on the shorter side. I think the average is like 7 to 10 hours for most people.
Yeah. I want to say it was probably 10 for me.
No. It was a little longer for me because I went back and tried to do things too perfectly than I needed to.
Over and over again. Yeah, 9.7. And some of that was it just staying open on my computer.
I mean, yeah, I put 14 hours.
So the important questions now, okay?
Okay.
Who did you pick?
Okay, well, before we get into the story elements.
Okay, fine.
Okay, before we get into the story elements, the little gameplay that does exist into this game, because my one problem with these types of games, and I loved the Walking Dead games, is that they aren't really games.
Yes.
Like, they're just not. They're interactive stories, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with giving me just, quote unquote, an interactive story if it's a good story, especially one that changes based off of my input, because then it makes sense for this medium because I am affecting it in some way. Even though I'm not really necessarily doing anything other than picking A, B, or C, at least I'm affecting it. Now, that being said, over the Telltale games, I did like the little bit of gameplay that they put in here, which was, hey, here's the problem. A set of buildings are on fire, and you need to quickly get people out. Who are you going to send? And sometimes you can send only one hero. Sometimes you can send like up to 4. And each hero has, what is it? Like 5, right? There's like strength, mobility,
strength,
charisma,
mobility, intelligence,
intellect, vigor.
Charisma,
so there's 5.
Speed.
Yeah, mobility.
Mobility, thank you. Yeah.
So there's 5 skills and talents that you can level up as you play, and so each mission basically requires a few of those skills or abilities to complete, and depending on how much your character covers of that skill or ability, or characters cover, then you have a percentage of completing it. There's also sometimes just a, hey, you sent the perfect hero, like sending the guy that can spit water to a problem with flames where they can just solve it without any sort of percentage, or even sending more heroes. You could just send the one that solves it perfectly, which is fine. So I did like, even though as rudimentary as it is, the extra gameplay that they added to it, because it did make it feel a little bit more involved and like I was doing a little bit more. There were also some hacking sequences, which I could take or leave it. They weren't really complicated. That felt a little bit more detached to me.
Yeah, I liked the little hacking minigame personally.
Okay.
I thought it was like, it really illustrated that he's not just a dispatcher, right? And like, not just anybody can do that job. They actually have to have some level of technical skill,
Or at least
to
he's
be
better
able-
at his job than others are. One or the
right?
other.
Exactly. And like, it also kind of puts him in the combat or in the scenario, right? And he can actually affect it. So that was interesting to me. I actually kind of enjoyed it personally.
I mean, that's fair.
But-
I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't feel like
Yeah.
it detracted. It didn't add anything for me personally, so I'm fine with it. I'm glad that you liked it. It just means that they at least made the right choice because it wasn't a bad thing, at least.
True.
And again, adds more game to an actual game that's more story-based, which I like that it's involved. So, in terms of the story, like we said, there's A, B, or C decisions that you constantly come across. So, along with his mech suit being destroyed and becoming a dispatcher, basically the head of SDN is Invisigal, and she's clearly a love interest from...
not a Visigo.
Not Invisigal. Oh, God, what's her name?
I don't know. We clearly didn't. Both of us nearly didn't pick her, though. I could tell that much.
No, but what's her name? Oh, gosh.
I don't remember.
Oh, whatever. Star Power. Oh, no, this is gonna be such a problem. I need to know her name.
I'm looking.
Okay. Well, while you're looking that up, and we'll talk about the character. She is clearly a love interest from episode 1, and she is the head of the organization, and so she brings you on because of your kind of mentor and your dad's friend who already works at the company, that's Trackstar. And so that's kind of when you get into going back and forth with dealing with these kind of reformed villains, and one of them is Invisigal. And you have to deal with her because she's, got a chip on her shoulder and all that kind of stuff, going back and forth, trying to make the team fit together as you would expect of a group of villains, trying to make them do good things, including some of the villains that you fought as a hero because they don't quite know who your alter ego is yet. And so there's a whole story between you trying to fix your suit, you trying to make the team better, and fighting the villain that initially destroyed your suit, kind of at the end of the game. Like I said, there's spoilers, so we're getting into spoiler territory if you didn't already know that and you kept listening. And at some point, you do make a love interest choice. So did you find the character's name?
I did. It's Blonde Blazer.
Blonde Blazer, yeah. Okay, so I picked Blonde Blazer.
You did?
Yeah, but I remembered the name Mandy. Not...
Oh,
so,
okay.
I don't know if you... And I didn't want to say that until we got to this point. Because,
That's fair.
So the thing for me is I did not kiss her in episode 1.
Okay.
I don't know if you did.
I did.
Did you? I'm honestly not surprised.
Yeah, that's fair.
I didn't. To be fair here, though, that was a little bit of metagaming because with the game already being out for a while, and when I was looking up whether or not to purchase it, like I already knew that she was, quote, in a relationship with Phenomenon. So, unfortunately, I already knew that aspect, so I was like, well, I don't want to kiss this chick that's already in a relationship, especially if it's a relationship with a superhero. That seems like it's going to cause problems for me. So,
Yep. That's definitely metagaming.
yeah. I mean, look, I already knew it. I didn't go looking for that information. It was already across my bow. Nothing I could do about it now. And it's not like I want to make this choice wrong because I knew the information, so I was like, whatever. So that I didn't kiss her in the episode 1, and I don't know, she just seemed like the nice character. I do want to go back through again and do a thing with Invisigal. My problem with Invisigal is just so difficult and tiring, dude.
See, I find that really funny because that describes a majority of my relationships, so it felt very natural to me. So, yeah. Which is probably arguably why I picked Invisigal. She also very in particularly reminds me of one of my past partners in general, who
Hold on.
was...
Sorry, before you get into this, I just want to say that I mentioned Mandy earlier and didn't explain it. So, Blonde Blazer, when she takes off her amulet that has her power, she changes back into Mandy. So, Blonde Blazer is her alter ego. She gets bigger. Her hair changes to blonde from brunette. And so, when I say Mandy, it's because that's who she is without the amulet. So, I just wanted to mention this before we move on because people might be like, wait, he was talking about Mandy and Blonde Blazer? Or are these two different? No, it's the same person.
Yeah. Fair.
All right, anyway, so your ex relationship.
Yeah. So I had one in particular relationship that was like near the end of high school, like leaving high school at the same time, which was a short, not quite straight arrow Hispanic girl. So it was very fitting.
Fair. I mean, to be fair, I think the story canonically is built around you dating Invisigal.
I think so too.
And something that you wouldn't have experienced is there's a faux pas in the ending of the game where even though clearly the entire time I was making decisions, like I never went to the movie with Invisigal. I didn't like I supported her, but like I never supported her over Blonde Blazer. Like I made the choices, right?
Right.
At the end of the game, I for some reason in that ending sequence with like the ambulance and everything, I say that Blonde Blazer isn't my girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. And then I go sit on a hood of a car with her and talk to her and then make out. So like I don't understand why my character said this, even though that's the decision I made all game. So I think that was just something that was missed, and they
very
haven't gone
possibly
back and fixed it.
Or it was more so like it was an official type deal.
Yeah, but then the line should be like, "Well, I don't know if it's anything official yet." You know, like the line shouldn't just be, "No, she's not my girlfriend." Full end stop. Like, because it just makes people go like, well, what's happening then? That's just, hold on, I've showed interest this whole thing. You're just not my girlfriend and stop. That's it. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a dumb line.
I don't know. Like, what happened with Shroud at the end for you?
Well, I still supported Invisigal the whole way, right?
Okay.
So she still jumps in front of the bullet. Because I assume that's what happens if she's also interested in you.
Yes.
She takes the bullet.
So we had the same ending.
Yeah. Minus
interesting.
The love interest.
Yeah, for sure. That's interesting. Did you give Shroud one or both?
I gave them both.
Same.
I feel like it's dumb. I would never do that in real life, but knowing that the game was made by Critical Role,
right,
or involved with Critical Role, I'm like, they clearly want me to give them both, so I'm assuming the good ending is me giving them both, and some cheeky, haha, you have to make the gamble now because you're the percentage guy that can predict the future, like tongue-in-cheek type thing, so...
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sure that's what they want me to do. So here you go. Here's both.
Yeah, that's what I did too. Which member did you cut?
I cut Sonar
Okay.
because I hated the inconsistency. I'm sure it is way more versatile to have him.
It is.
For anyone that doesn't know, his character on the dispatch calls, between calls, shifts between a strength-based and an intellectual charisma-based character, back and forth. So
his intellect and charisma actually just flip-flop with his strength and agility. Like, they just 100% flip-flop, which is actually really funny because you can get him to the point where, regardless of the form that he's in, he has the identical stats.
I mean, fair.
So, which is one thing that I got pretty close to doing.
Did you?
I think I got him up to 7 on both his intellect and his charisma, and then like 5 on his strength and agility.
I mean, that's fair. I definitely min-maxed characters. So I picked
same.
an attribute. I picked a attribute or an attribute. And like, I didn't necessarily physically max it out because I know most of the time I'm sending like 2 characters. So I always shot one up to 8 and then started rounding out.
Yep, pretty much. It was that's I think the only change between the only difference in decisions besides the love interest.
Well, the main reason that I kept Coop over Sonar is because Sonar just seemed like he never gave a shit, and Coop actually mentioned that she really needed the job.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm like, if this person wants to be here and this other person doesn't seem like they give a crap, then I feel like I should reward the person that wants to be here.
That's fair. Does Sonar join Shroud?
Yeah.
Okay, so they just flip-flop positions then. There's not really a significant difference. Interesting. One thing I will say is I thought that...
One thing that you didn't see, are you going to go back through and play and do the opposite decision?
I might at some point.
Okay, well, because I was going to mention something funny about the end fight with Sonar. That's absolutely different. I know it's different because it's specific to Sonar. So Sonar gets a Bionics upgrade, but it's specifically with his screeching. And so there's a point in the final fight where he's just screeching at Blonde Blazer doing her light blast or whatever, and you just walk up next to Sonar and click the button to turn it off.
That's good. Love that. For Coop, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Okay, so for Coop, the way that she loses her section is you literally just rip off her wings.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's the extent of it. Because the wings are bionic, right? They're not real.
Yeah.
So you just rip them off, and then she just falls.
I mean, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Did you let them join at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well.
I never wanted to like that.
Yeah, I never wanted to get rid of any of them.
So we can come back to things we liked. One of the things that I did not enjoy was it definitely felt like a few of the decisions were superficial. And I didn't really have the option to say no. Specifically with getting rid of a person. Because that was one of the things that I actually reset a couple of times. Because I wanted to see if I could be like, no, I actually want to keep them all. I can make this work. Because I wish the game would have given me a different penalty to deal with. Like maybe there was a morale problem or whatever over the next thing. Or maybe it was impacting my Blonde Blazer relationship, which I think would have been fine if I like put my foot down and said we're not doing it. Maybe that would cause a heavy influence drop with her. You know, like there's I wish there was more dynamic decisions that I could have gotten away with, rather than kind of the tree branching out and then coming back to a point where it's clearly not necessarily in my control.
It definitely felt like more of like a web that ends at a single point, right? So like there's definitely like branching paths, but they all end at the same point. And like maybe there was like 1 to 3 endings. Who knows? We both got the same ending. But like I'm really curious if there is a scenario where you can drop Invisigal.
Well, she does leave the team. Like, did you kick her off the team or did you defend her?
I defended her.
Yeah. So
she does leave, but I mean specifically because there's that section where where Invisigal fights to be above Sonar and Coop.
No, so there's not there. There's definitely not there. It's only at the end.
That choice felt incredibly superficial.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, well, if you just send her, can you intentionally send her on a bunch of missions that she's going to fail? Right? And then like she's actually at the bottom, or does she just end up higher than Sonar and Coop regardless? And it seems like she just ends up higher, which is disappointing because there's not quite enough branching paths in my opinion. It's a good game, don't get me wrong, but it's clearly it fits with what Critical Role is, right? Which is there's a story and you're going to get to the end of that story regardless of what decisions you make. And the decisions you make may impact the story, but it will not impact how it ends.
Yeah. I think, well, so here's the thing. I put this in great game territory. Like, this is a great game. I think everyone, depending on what your budget is or when you find it on sale, should absolutely go play this game. Because I think we're criticizing, but at the end of the day, even though it's a justified criticism, it's a great story with what's still there. So even though we don't get the full branching paths and the freedom that we would like from the story, what they did include is absolutely fantastic, to be clear here. I was very happy with my experience. This is just kind of like a retroactive, I wish there was more. You know, so instead of a 9 out of 10, I can give it a 10 out of 10. But
yeah, exactly. For what it is intended to be, which is basically telling a story in multiple ways, right? It's the same story through and through. Regardless of how many times you play it, you will get the same story at the end of the day. There may be slight specific differences in details, but you will get the same story. It's not intended to be like Detroit Become Human, as an example, where there is so many branching paths and there are so many different endings, right? It's not designed for that, which is fine, in my opinion.
I think when I looked it up, there's like 3 major versions of the endings with like 2 slight differences on a few of them. So like technically a total of like 5 essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that one ending in particular is incredibly hard to get because you have to basically play perfectly.
Someday I might like to go through and try it, but
yeah, same. Yeah. So, something that I could have honestly just not played with, and if I go back and play it, I will just turn it off. And that's the QuickTime events. I couldn't really tell whether or not they were actually impacting the cutscene, and more than anything, it really just took me out of the cutscene.
Yeah, I agree with that. To be clear here, I think they're fine because the option exists to turn them off.
Yes.
My complaint would be if I was forced to do them, because I agree with you. Going through a second time, I would absolutely turn it off. It's just not necessary. I want to sit back and watch what's happening and not be like, oh, and put my hand back on the mouse just to miss it and go, son of a man.
I was caught with that a lot too.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing. It felt like an aspect of gameplay that didn't actually change the story. Right? If you failed every single one of them, the story's the same.
You just look like a chump.
Exactly. And it's just like, who cares?
On the first cutscene, I did try it where he's infiltrating the base or whatever, and it's that first guy that he fights in just the regular suit, not in the mech suit. And he failed everything and still ends up like defeating the guy. He just looks dumb doing it.
Yeah. Exactly. It's kind of like, meh, don't care. That's definitely something I could have just not had, which I wish I had turned it off. But at that point, I was already like 3/4 of the way through, and I was just like, screw it, I don't care.
I mean, fair.
One thing that I was actually very surprised with.
Well, hold on. I just want to. One thing that I definitely hated was the fact, now this more to me / a second playthrough type person, which they're unskippable. Stuff is unskippable. Yeah. Let me skip up to a conversation decision.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like it's going to cause people problems for second playthroughs if you can't skip things up to a decision, especially if you've seen the cutscene a couple of times and you don't care about it. You're trying to see the new stuff.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Just let me skip up to it.
I agree. Something that I was actually pleasantly surprised with, especially because at the very beginning I was very concerned. I was very concerned that like the not safe for work aspects were going to be very cringy. Because the very first fight with what is his name, fucking Toxic or some shit, like that, it's hilarious, but like if I had to deal with that for 10 hours, it would have been very cringy.
It
right?
would have been too much. Yes.
Did you get the Invisigal dream cutscene?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I agree with you even more now. Because, like, if that's all it takes, you're just, like, supporting her as a person, and you still get all of those relevant cutscenes, like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, I think everything's basically the same up until that date that you choose.
Yeah, exactly. At the very end.
Well, I mean, the date's, like, end of episode 4 or something?
Something, yeah.
But the thing is, those first few episodes are some of the longer ones. So, like, episode, like, I think it's like 7, 8, and 9 are a lot shorter.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's a good chunk of the game.
I was honestly concerned that it was going to be pretty cringy.
I think it was done well.
Yeah, I agree. Now, would I be saying the same thing if I didn't get an Invisigal scene? Probably not. Because, like, I'm trying to think of the other aspects of it. And I'm so desensitized to that shit anyways. In general, that, like,
you don't get anything for Blonde Blazer other than, like, the wardrobe malfunction or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only scandalous.
I got that one too.
Yeah, and that's the only.
Yeah, that one was pretty early on too.
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing scandalous that you get with Blonde Blazer.
Yeah, well, and like I'm sitting here, and like I said, I'm pretty desensitized to pretty much all of it. I even forgot about the wardrobe malfunction. Words are hard. But like, yeah, the only two things that I could really think of was Toxic and the dream scene with Invisigal. Those are the only two things that I can think of. I think there were a couple of like clothes being blown off and stuff, like during fights and whatnot.
There's comments and stuff that people make.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Like, God, Gosh, well, there's the at the end. There's the one guy that you attack who was just peeing into a plant.
That one's funny.
And you have a whole back and forth conversation about putting his genitals away.
Yep. Oh, did you do it?
I just wanted the conversation to be over, so I was like, yeah, sure, fine. Let's move on.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I made Invisigal do it.
Did you?
Yeah. I was like, no, I'm not touching that. I would have, like, personally, real life, like, some dude that I had just attacked, like, I don't give a shit about that person. I just,
no.
You get to stay wide open. I don't care.
No, if anything, I'm flipping him over. Just so, like, he's, like, faced onto the ground or whatever.
So I don't have to look at it.
Yeah, well, it's covered, right? If he's flipped over on the ground. Plus, he's less likely to choke on any sort of vomit or anything from the impact, so.
Sure.
You know, better chance he stays alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
I'm curious if you turn off the, or you turn on the NSFW toggle to make it safe, right? What that dream scene looks like for Invisigal.
I hope it's just giant. I hope it stays exactly the same, but everything's just blurred and bleeped.
Just black bars.
Yeah.
Oh god, like the way that they do it with anime.
Yeah, it's like you're like you know you're missing something. We know you're missing something. You chose to miss this thing. Here's the scene with giant black bars.
Yep. Oh man, that'd be so cringy.
Here's the thing too. I was not on board with the toxic thing. Because that seemed like very much way too in my face until that joke paid off at the end.
Yep.
So then it was like, okay. So for anyone that doesn't know, at the end, well, in your superhero repertoire party, there is a guy called Sucker Punch, which is a man that is has problems with height, and his thing is that he goes around punching people's genitals. And so at the end, lo and behold, you send him to fight the toxic guy who just has his genitals out. And so what does he do? Punches him in the genitals.
Yep. I think his actual superhero name is Punch Up.
Punch Up?
Yeah.
I feel like Sucker Punch works too, but I guess the official name is better. Punch Up.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it does make more sense for what the character is.
Yeah. Punching above his weight class.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I was way more on board after that joke paid off. Because, like, it was funny at the first episode. But it was like, kept coming around. It was like, okay. And then it's like, all right. And then it's like, oh, okay. I'm on board.
Yeah, they definitely made it pay off at some point, which is good. I'm glad they did. And, like, Critical Role is pretty good at that in general. I see in here that there's talks about future plans into season 2 and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
I don't know where the fuck they go.
I mean, dude, you're in a superhero world.
Oh yeah, I get it. There's definitely like
so many places you can go.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But my concern is that it's going to turn into the problem that we all have with like World of Warcraft and other like constantly on running series like Supernatural, right? Where it's like, oh, we just beat this world-ending threat. Here's another one.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with that as long as you connect it back to the story somehow.
Yeah.
Because that's every superhero thing. There's always another villain. There's always another big thing. That's just the name of the game. But give me something. Does Phenomenon become a villain? Dealing with his ridiculous depression? Is there, because Invisigal talks about how her power was meant to do bad stuff, right? Especially considering she's a love interest. So is there a character from her past that comes back around that went full supervillain that she hung out with earlier in her life?
Right.
Is there in episode 2, is there a second team that you take under your wing? A whole set of a new Z team per se, where maybe Invisigal, just because she's a potential love interest, is the only one that sticks around to help you with the new team. So she becomes your best dispatched superhero, helping you train the newbies, that type of stuff. Maybe there's a whole thing with Blonde Blazer not being able to take her gem back. So you're trying to find something to save Trackstar, because there's a new villain that showed up that Blonde Blazer can't deal with because Trackstar has the amulet and he doesn't have the same skills or all that kind of stuff. So there is plenty of ways that they can go
the
with the
Trackstar story would be interesting to follow.
Well, sorry. Yes, the biggest thing is we never actually see his dead dad. We never actually see a cutscene of his dad being dead. And supposedly he killed him. But Shroud, the villain, admits that he had a partnership with his dad before he was betrayed. And was Shroud a villain before or after? And if he was a villain before and they had a partnership, did the dad go superhero because the Mecha Man before him turned him back to the good side? And maybe after being shot, he actually, it's one of those things where like the bullet stuck in his brain and actually turned him into a villain type of thing, set his personality back or whatever.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So you could do something with his dad too, because you never actually see any sort of cutscene showing his dad actually dying. All we hear about is how Shroud shot him, and Shroud's saying he shot him, and that's it.
Yeah,
so
there's definitely some places.
Evil Mecha Man that shows up on the scene.
It's just not like super obvious. Like they didn't set it up for a sequel like super obviously, and maybe that was intentional.
I prefer that they did that. I like that you gave me an A to B full completion story without any dumb, ridiculous cliffhangers that I have to moan and groan about not knowing where the story is actually finishing because you left half of it not finished. So I do like that I have a fully finished story. But it is interesting because, we have all kinds of guesses or potential story threads, but nothing official as an open-ended cliffhanger for where Season 2 would be going. And to be clear here, for anyone that doesn't know, Ad Hoc Studio has confirmed that Season 2 is in early planning stages. So, as of now, in production, but very early in production.
I'm curious if it's going to be a DLC or a whole new game. Here's the reason I say that.
Okay.
As a DLC, it would force you to play the first season, right? And as it being a DLC, I would expect it to carry forward all of your gameplay, right? All of your primary decisions.
Sure.
Whatever those may be. As a second game, I wouldn't necessarily expect it to do that. And I would expect it to more follow the canon.
I would imagine they'll do what they did similarly with the Walking Dead series, which, if you want to make it as a separate game or a DLC, functionally doesn't matter. Either way, it reads your save file from this game.
You could do that, for sure. I do like the idea of the reading the save file thing, but for a lot of PC gamers, we often uninstall games when we're done with them.
Yeah, but Steam has cloud saves.
That's true.
So all you have to do is re-download before you play the game.
What if you never played the first one? You You just get the second one. Do you start off with the canon, or do you get choices?
So the Telltale games started you off with like canon decisions if you didn't have anything to base it off of. The other thing that I think they could do, which Mass Effect 2 did this for PlayStation players, because Mass Effect 1 was not on PlayStation, Mass Effect 2 was. So obviously Mass Effect 2 couldn't read any sort of save file that would have existed. So there was basically like a small little comic book story type mini game that you played before playing the game that generated that save file, essentially, to which the game then could read. But it's basically like hey, here's the quick synopsis where the Robert Robertson had a love interest, was it? Blonde Blazer and Visigal, and then he made this decision. Did he continue with Sonar or Coop? And, that type of stuff.
It was actually Golem.
It was actually Golem. Man, dude, I mean, that's more cushion is all I'm saying. On Golem.
Oh, jeez. Man, what's really funny is like some of the names were really stupid. Right? Phenomenon. Example A.
Well, I feel like that was intended.
It was definitely intended.
There was many jokes made about phenomenon.
Yep, exactly. Punch Up is funny. Coop, it's actually Coupe, by the way, everyone.
That's fair.
But nobody calls her that almost ever. It pretty much just stays as Coop. Waterboy is funny because it plays into what an actual Waterboy is. Royd is hilarious. Shroud is like, okay. Trackstar it's so on the nose.
Yep.
And then like Sonar it's decent. I think Sonar's a pretty decent one.
Well, I mean, he's a amalgamation Batman, so yeah, it makes sense.
Right. Blonde Blazer, I think, is the equivalent of Superwoman.
Sure.
To be honest,
I mean, yeah,
like
100%.
Like that level of
or Captain Marvel from the recent
right,
Marvel movies,
exactly.
yeah.
Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman, all those, right? They're very generic. Invisigal, I thought was pretty decent, though I personally liked her villain name better.
Really?
Which is Bitch. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so shocked.
I definitely like that better.
I'm so shocked that you like that better.
The one that I thought was the absolute stupidest name ever, I saved for last, was Flambe.
I mean, what are you talking about? That was amazing. He's a dude with fire powers.
It's just so stupid.
Why not? He flambés things.
It's just so dumb. And maybe it's less the name and it's more the character, because the character was absolutely dumb. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he doesn't embody the term flambe. No. It's more
true.
like burn it to the ground guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Man.
Yeah,
did he come back around for you?
He did.
Yeah, same here. I don't know if it's part of the story where he can actually fully leave or not.
Right. Well, that's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
That, like, we talked about it a little bit earlier, like how much of it is really your choice.
Oh, one of the things that did drive me nuts about the gameplay, the dispatching, were the dispatches that you had to have under a minimum.
Oh my god, yes.
That I hated that design decision because there was nothing indicated early on that would be a thing. And so I put a few points of combat into all my characters because I'm like, they're superheroes. Getting into combat at some point is their thing. They have to at least be a little bit proficient in combat. That would be ridiculous. And so
I agree.
Right? And so when those missions came around, it was like, you can't exceed this combat score. I was like, I guess I'm sending 1 or 2. Okay, I guess. Because that's all I could do. Most of the time, I could only ever send 1.
Yeah, same.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was annoying. Because I felt like I was being punished for something that I had no idea that was going to happen.
It definitely felt like you were being punished for min-maxing.
Well, not even min-maxing. Like, because I was rounding out a lot of my heroes. So if there was a maximum of 3 combat, and most of my heroes had 2 combat, like, then like if I had a hero that had 4 combat and 2 combat, I've already hit that 6 combat limit. Like the game wanted you to have at least a couple heroes with like 1 combat, which is ridiculous. Like, it wasn't even the min-maxing. As soon as I started spreading around my stuff, I was screwed. That was I did not like that specific spot. But again, I'm nitpicking because overall I enjoyed the game. And most of those, I want to say like 70% of those, I still completed sending the 1 or 2 heroes. So it was fine.
Yeah, it's
To be fair though, I have the achievement of completing a mission with less than 30% success rate.
I did too, I think. Let me see. I also have the choose the least popular item from the store achievement.
I do have that one as well. What'd you choose?
I don't remember.
I chose the cigars.
Yes, that was what I chose. Yep.
I do like that he still gets the Twinkies afterwards. That made me.
The but I cheered for Invisigal achievement. You don't have it. That's the one where you get rid of Coop.
How is it? That's funny.
I'm trying to find that 30% one.
All right. Well, as you're looking for that, I will say that the game was actually pitched as a live-action TV show 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But partially because of COVID, it actually failed to find a network. And so it was then kind of flipped around to being the game. So didn't actually connect. I could see it being a really good TV show though. But I am happy that we have it for the game, and I look forward to season 2. This was great. They had some funny moments, some good drama. Even though I had the one hiccup with the blonde blazer romance, I did think that they were generally a good flow. Like, it never felt like things were too awkward or too ridiculous, or that the character just had people fawning over them, other than that kind of Invisigal dream, but that kind of fit with her character more than anything. So it felt like things were fluid and for the most part as natural as a superhero game with romantic interest can be.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It just yeah.
So, have you found that yet? All right. Well, I'm going to assume you didn't, and that I'm amazing, and I did it, and you did not.
I only saw the one that's less than 15%. I don't have that one, but I saw it existed.
I did not get the less than 15%. I only got the one that was like complete one. I think it specifically says complete with a greater than 70% chance failure is how they word it.
Oh, is that how they worded it?
Yeah, I think greater than a 70% chance of failure.
Failed a call with greater than 70% of success.
Oh, then yeah, I failed one with greater than 77% success.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I actually remember that one. I was so pissed off. I was so angry, dude. I remember that one now. I was so angry that I flipped this around in my own head because I didn't believe it. I was so pissed off, dude. There were so many times that I was wondering, too, if the game fudged the numbers. Because, a lot of developers do stuff behind the scenes where, like, an 85% success rate is just 100% success rate because it feels better in terms of gameplay type stuff. A lot of games will fudge those numbers behind the scenes.
There's the synergy thing too, which was actually nice.
Yeah, I did like that. So certain characters, if you sent them on missions together, would get a synergy and a percentage completion bonus. But yeah, no, I remembered when this fucking happened, and I hated this so much too, because it was right at the end, and I had almost had a perfect playthrough, and I feel like the game was punishing me, and I hated it so much. And at that point, I realized the percentages were at least partially real. And that I could fail something that I felt like, because, gamer brain, it's like, over 70%, that's almost immediate, 100% guaranteed. Oh, man.
Yeah, the little bouncing ball thing was kind of weird. I would have
I
much
think that was just an
preferred...
illustration. Pretty sure it's already calculated in the background.
Probably, yeah. I would have much preferred something that, like, you had more choices in the dispatch, right? Rather than just like a percentage chance, having actual choices of like your command structure, like how you command them to, solve the problem. I think that would have been more interesting.
Given you a percentage bonus. So like maybe a couple decisions that each give you a 5% bonus or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
That could have been cool. That would require more branching decisions based off of the characters you sent, which would be a lot more to add to it, but...
Well, and that's the other thing, too. I don't think that the... Like, I don't think that the actual dispatch gameplay impacted the story in any way, shape, or form.
It does at the end.
Does it?
Well, because I'm pretty sure you can fail defeating Sonar.
Defeating Sonar, maybe.
Or Coupe.
Right. But I know regardless of choice, regardless of success, you still beat Shroud.
Are you sure you always beat Shroud? There's got to be a bad ending in there in which you don't.
The worst ending that exists, as far as I know, is Invisigal kills Shroud, takes his mask, and leaves.
Oh, and then she becomes the bad guy?
Yeah.
Kind of lame. There should just be one where Shroud wins.
It would be nice, yes. Even the wiki says, regardless of the choices made, the Red Ring is defeated and arrested.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there should just be one where if you fail that dispatch call, like, it just goes to the bad ending with Shroud winning. I know that technically doesn't exist from what we looked at, but there should just be one where it's like, yeah, you screwed up your dispatch calls so bad, guess what, they won. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But
that would be nice.
That would also kind of feel bad.
It would.
If, like, your entire game, if you bricked your entire playthrough by doing terribly on the dispatches, because if you do terribly, you don't get XP. So there's a realm in which you do terrible on the dispatches, and your characters are just incapable of actually finishing that last mission. That technically could exist.
Yep, it definitely could exist. Yeah, it would be very interesting to see that. I mean, I think that would still be a legitimate ending regardless.
Ooh, I think the ending could be that if you do such a terrible job with them, they realize that being a superhero isn't for them and they go join Trev.
Yeah.
Because they were already villains. And so if they don't do a good job at being heroes, then there's a realm in which they just go back.
Yeah, very true.
Especially because you kicked one of them out. So, like, I'm going to go join the guy you kicked out. Clearly that was the right thing to do anyways. Because we suck at being heroes.
Yep.
That would be a bad way to do it. Again, becoming more involved. Maybe this is a thing for season 2 that they can think about. Because I do think clearly the scope was limited for this. And
for sure.
We're only going this deep because of how good the game was and what more we want out of it. Mm-hmm. So potentially that's what we can get for the next time around, season 2.
Yep. Yep.
So, alrighty. Well, at the end of the day, fantastic. Great game. Great story. Decent mechanics to make it actually a game, even though it's mostly story-based. Even though we've spoiled a lot, if you're still here, I think it's wonderful to go experience it. You should go experience it anyways. And if you're coming back around at the end because you skip forward to just catch the end of this, well, then still go play Dispatch. Go buy it on sale or go buy it now and play it at some point. It's a good game. Support them. Support the people that do good work. And I think that's where I'm going to leave off there. Any other last comments on it?
Nope, I agree. Go play the game.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have. All right, people. Close your books. Pack those bags. That's all we have time for today. And if you have a choice between one gal who's got just blonde hair and light superpowers and is bigger than you are, and an invisible girl that requires a lot of work, then I will have to say you're probably at a good point in your life if those are your two decisions. But make the right one for you. And if they have superpowers, well, you've hit the jackpot, I guess.
True.
All right. We hope you enjoy your time off and look forward to your participation next time.
See ya.